Title: The Fall of Justice. All rise for the Honorable Judge Franklin Whitaker. The bailiff's voice echoed through the towering courtroom. The heavy oak doors groaned shut behind the last person entering, sealing in the dense tension that had been building all morning. At the front of the room, behind the grand mahogany bench, sat Judge Whitaker. His face, cold and impassive, was framed by neatly combed silver hair. His piercing gray-blue eyes swept the room like a hawk sizing up its prey. Known across the district for his harsh sentences and no-nonsense attitude, there were whispers, loud whispers, that he was something else too, racist. And today, he was about to prove it. At the defendant's table stood a black woman, her posture straight, her presence commanding. Her brown skin glowed under the sterile courtroom lights, her navy blue blazer tailored to perfection. She stood calm and collected, no fidgeting, no fear, just focus. "Miss Reynolds, you stand accused of failure to signal before changing lanes," Judge Whitaker droned, his voice laced with something like amusement. "A violation under state traffic law." Jade Reynolds lifted her chin, locking eyes with him. "Yes, Your Honor. But—" "No, buts," he snapped, cutting her off before she could finish. "You were pulled over, cited, and here you are. Do you deny it?" "No, Your Honor," Jade replied, her jaw tightening. "But I'd like to contest." "You'd like to contest?" Whitaker leaned forward, a smug smirk creeping across his face. "Well, let me save you the trouble. You're guilty as charged." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Jade's hands clenched the edge of the defense table, but her voice remained calm. "Your Honor, I haven't even presented my argument." "I don't need to hear it," he replied, twirling his gavel between his fingers. "I see people like you in my courtroom all the time, always trying to talk your way out of trouble instead of taking responsibility." The murmurs among the spectators grew louder. "I hereby fine you $500, he declared, slamming the gavel down. "And if you have a problem with that, you're welcome to appeal." Jade inhaled deeply, fighting the burn of frustration. "Your Honor," she said slowly, "I was trying to inform you that I work for the United States Department of Justice." The judge froze. "I'm a federal prosecutor," she added, her voice cutting through the stunned silence like a scalpel. The courtroom erupted into chaos. Whispers, snickers, gasps, all of it. The smugness evaporated from Judge Whitaker's face, replaced by a flicker of panic. His hand trembled slightly as it hovered over his gavel. He had just humiliated a federal prosecutor on record. Jade stepped forward, her heels clicking against the marble floor. "And you just violated my right to due process in a courtroom full of witnesses." Whitaker swallowed hard, visibly flustered. That doesn't change the fact that you broke the law. And it doesn't change the fact that you dismissed my right to a fair hearing." The courtroom buzzed again, louder this time. Even the bailiff shifted uncomfortably. Whitaker's mask of authority cracked. "If you disagree with my ruling, you can file an appeal." "Oh, I'll do more than that," Jade promised, her tone sharp but composed. She scanned the crowd. Reporters were here, and they had heard every word. She wasn't just playing defense anymore. She was taking control. 3 weeks earlier, Jade was driving home after a grueling day in court. Her mind was swimming with case details, her upcoming trial occupying every thought. She barely noticed the red and blue lights flashing in her rearview mirror until the siren chirped. Her brow furrowed. She hadn't been speeding. No stop signs missed. No erratic driving. Still, she signaled and pulled over. A white officer in his late 30s approached her window, his hand resting near his holster. "License and registration," he demanded flatly. Jade kept her hands visible as she retrieved her ID. "Officer, can I ask why I'm being pulled over?" "You failed to signal before changing lanes." Her eyebrows shot up. "I'm pretty sure I did." The officer's jaw clenched. "Are you questioning me?" Jade exhaled, forcing calm. "No, sir." "Step out of the vehicle." "What?" Her voice barely masked her disbelief. "Step out." Her hands curled into fists before she unbuckled her seatbelt and stepped out, her heart racing. Cars slowed as they passed, drivers rubbernecking. Jade stood still as the officer frisked her, right there, on the side of the road. He rifled through her purse and paused when he found her DOJ credentials. "You work for the feds?" he asked, his tone dripping with disdain. "Yes." He sneered. "Figures." That's when Jade realized this wasn't about a turn signal. It was about power, about putting her in her place. He handed her the ticket with a smirk. "See you in court." Back in the courtroom. "Miss Reynolds," Judge Whitaker stammered, still reeling. "This court stands by its ruling." "And I stand by mine," Jade shot back. "I'll be filing an appeal and contacting the state bar." The judge's face paled. That won't be necessary. But Jade was done. She grabbed her bag and walked out, the courtroom buzzing behind her. As she pushed through the heavy doors, a uniformed officer burst inside, nearly colliding with her. "Your Honor," the officer shouted. "We have an issue." The room hushed. Whitaker's face twisted in irritation. "What now?" "It's about one of your old cases." Michael Grayson. Jade's heart stopped. Grayson. She knew that name. He'd been convicted of armed robbery 6 years ago, based solely on a shaky eyewitness account. No physical evidence, no alibi taken seriously. Just the testimony of a white store owner. "What about it?" Whitaker barked. The officer hesitated. New DNA evidence cleared him. "He's innocent." A collective gasp swept through the room. Jade's breath caught. She had followed that case fresh out of law school, always knowing something about it felt wrong. Judge Whitaker's face drained of color. That's impossible." Jade stepped forward. "Or it's the truth finally catching up with you." The fallout was immediate. Michael Grayson's wrongful conviction made national headlines. Protests erupted outside the courthouse. Reporters dug into Whitaker's history, unearthing patterns of biased rulings against black defendants. The whispers about his racism were no longer whispers, they were front-page news. But Jade wasn't finished. She started combing through Grayson's case files. Late-night hours blurred together as she discovered tampered evidence logs, missing testimonies, and altered court transcripts. Someone had gone to great lengths to bury the truth, and it all pointed back to Whitaker. The tipping point. The night before the appeal hearing for Grayson's release, Jade got a call. "Miss Reynolds? You need to see this," the voice on the other end said. It was a clerk from the courthouse. Nervous. Hesitant. "Meet me at the parking garage. Level 3. Midnight." Jade's gut screamed danger, but she went anyway. In the dim glow of the parking lot, the clerk handed her a flash drive. "I wasn't supposed to see this," he whispered. "It's security footage from the evidence room 6 years ago." Jade plugged it into her laptop, her pulse racing. There it was, clear as day. Judge Whitaker, after hours, entering the evidence room alone. The night before crucial evidence in Grayson's case vanished. "Bastard," Jade muttered. She had him. The next morning. The courtroom was packed. Jade stood tall as the footage played on the big screen. Whitaker's face was a mask of horror as the evidence against him unraveled in front of the public. "You tampered with evidence," Jade declared. "You sent an innocent man to prison for 25 years. The judge's hands trembled around his gavel. "I didn't," he stammered. "Save it," Jade cut in. "You're done here." 2 U.S. Marshals entered the room, handcuffs gleaming in the harsh courtroom lights. Judge Franklin Whitaker, one of them, announced, "You're under arrest for obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, and conspiracy." Gasps echoed once more, but this time there were gasps of satisfaction. As Whitaker was led away, Jade felt the weight on her shoulders lift. But she also knew this was just the beginning. There were more like him, and she wasn't done yet.